top of a lot of people's boards. Paris Johnson Jr. played some guard at Ohio State before moving to left tackle this past year. When I watch him, I mean, I just see smooth athlete, easy adjuster. He's not always in the right place at the right time, but his recovery ability is just special. It's how loose his hips are, his ability to cover ground laterally. And if he's a half second late on something, for it to not cost him, because he has the length, has the speed, has the agility to go make up for it. I mean, there was one play that I saw where it was like, I didn't know how it was possible he covered the ground he did. Now, on some of the negative, he's not the most experienced tackle, so because he played interior earlier in his career, so just kind of learning the position a little more. But that's really, I mean, I thought his tape was pretty clean. Tennessee offensive tackle Darnell Wright, guy who I think has the best hands in the class among the offensive tackles. I mean, he is so refined and so well studied with what his opponents are trying to do to him, and his hands are, right there processing with his brain, and his feet tend to stay with his hands and his hips. He just stays all in a line. It's just very technically sound. And really the thing that stands out to me is his prior years, prior to last year, he had ups and downs, right? Ups and downs. And he was talking, it might have been after one of the Senior Bowl practices, talking about how he started putting together Excel spreadsheets about his opponents and tracking what they do and how he's going to counter it. And I imagine that's something they started doing more heavily prior to this past year, because the improvement was clear, and putting in that work, to me, it says that that's something that's going to be sustainable for him to carry into the league, because it's, as long as he keeps doing that work, we've seen the results with him. Now, he's not the quickest mover. Feet are a little slower. His recovery is a bit more limited in the feet, but I think his hands are so good that it's something he's going to be able to overcome. There's a lot to be excited about with Broderick Jones. I have in my notes here, he is a brick wall when his hands and feet are connected. When everything is where it's supposed to be, he's just tough to get by. But that brings us to the point. His hands and feet are often disjointed. Like his hands will land outside, his feet will get left behind on occasion. It's more processing than athletic, right? It's more, he's a little bit raw with some of that stuff. The Georgia offense, so much of their offense was runs and then tunnel screens out to wide receivers with tight ends getting out to block a corner or a safety or a linebacker. Broderick Jones did some of that too. He was moving out to get a hat on a cornerback. Like, that's not something you typically ask a tackle to do. He's a special athlete. There's no question about that. Getting a little more sand in his pants, I think that would help his anchor some. Upper body strength is there, and he has functional lower body strength, but I think he can just add a little more, and his anchor could become something that's really dominant at that point. Matthew Bergeron out of Syracuse. At the Senior Bowl, we saw him playing inside and outside. I think that there's no reason to move him inside unless you just draft him at great value and think that, we're just going to put him inside because we don't need a tackle right now, but still no, he can go back outside and play tackle. I believe he has left-right versatility as well, experience playing on both left tackle and right tackle. When I was watching his tape, I was impressed by the efficiency of his feet quite a bit. He was just very, always low to the ground, always, his steps were always the same size and always just getting to where he needed to be on time. But there was some stuff that I saw in there too that was kind of like made me question, how's his anchor? How much power is he really bringing in his punch, in that ability to really displace people as well in the run game? And my questions were answered at the Senior Bowl. I mean, he was dominating folks out there on certain reps, and I came away very impressed with him and higher on him than I was going in.
Anton Harrison,
prototypical frame. He's a little light, probably needs to add a little more mass, but he will. I don't think there's any real worry about that. He's got length, 34 and an eighth inch arms, and room to continue to grow. He's already pretty good. He has some really good movement abilities in space. I really like his demeanor. He's very patient, very calm all the time out there. Plays with quick feet. Really, so one of the big things I watch for tackles is, how's their inside shoulder, right? Are they getting too wide? If they're getting too wide, do they have the ability to recover? And he always plays inside out because he knows he has the athleticism to get out, which is just, I mean, that is a huge thing for an offensive tackle. Just know that they have that in their toolbox when they need it, because then they can just be constantly protecting inside and mirror back outside. It's just really gifted thing to be able to do. Needs to bring his pad level down, bend his knees more, costs him leverage and costs him reps, and then a lot of penalties over the last 2 years. I didn't see a lot on tape of him going against true like speed rushers from a 9 tech, which is, when I did see it, it was a bit more of a struggle because he was probably forced out of playing that inside out a bit more and just forward to him. I think he'll figure that out. Like, I think he's a high floor guy. And most likely he's going to be a pretty good tackle in the NFL. I don't know if you're looking at like a future all-pro or anything, but I just think he has the tools to be a good football player. And that's it, folks. My top 5 offensive tackles for this year's draft class. Hope y'all enjoyed it. I enjoyed making it. Make sure to like, subscribe, go follow on Facebook. Go check out shaving-points.com for the Shaving Points podcast, and check me out on Bears on Tap over at On Tap Sports.